Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica and today I am doing a different kind of video than usual. I want to embrace the Halloween theme and vibes and talk about one of my favorite subjects and hobbies, which is horror films. So I know this is something I have never discussed on my channel before, but I am a huge horror buff. I love horror films, I love horror literature, I love horror games, and because it is October, I think I finally have free license to discuss everything horror with you guys. I do want to take this opportunity to share my passion and talk about some stuff, maybe introduce you guys to some new movies. This video is going to be my horror recommendations. A lot of these are not very niche movies, but I figured I wanted to make something for the general audience. I have three categories: if you like dread and unease, if you like action, if you like mysteries. Without further ado, I am going to get into this video. My first category, if you like to feel dread. I just categorized these based off of vibes. It's not too serious. I know it's kind of silly, but that is how I thought it would be easiest to just categorize these without giving away too many spoilers or too much information. The first film I have in this category that I would recommend wholeheartedly is called The Descent. This is a movie about a group of women who goes spelunking. And if you don't know what that is, it is the term for caving, which is when you go into a cave and you basically explore and you traverse all of the enclosed and claustrophobic tunnels. It already sounds like a nightmare to me personally, but just when you think things can't get worse, another variable is thrown into the mix, which makes this a life or death situation. This movie is just in a league of its own in terms of creating tension, making you feel claustrophobic as if you too were crawling through the tunnels of the cave. I really can't say enough good things about this movie. I think that it is so unique. Next on my list is a film called The Witch. This is a movie that is a period piece, and I know period pieces can be pretty controversial. It is a movie about a group of pilgrims, for lack of a better term. They come to America from England and they start a life together on a remote plot of land. And it is basically the story about the family and being ravaged by isolation and possibly a witch. I don't want to give away too many details. A lot of this movie, it has an undercurrent of religion, demonic, and it is so great to see how the relationships change within the family based off of the strain that they're going through. I often say that The Witch is my favorite horror film of all time, so if nothing else, I think you should really give this one a shot. The next movie on this list is Hereditary. Now this, I think, has become a modern classic for sure. It's a story about a family dealing with grief. As the grief is dealt with, a lot of family secrets start to come up and destroy what is left of the family. It has demons, it has cults. It is actually so scary. There are a couple scenes. I actually saw this movie for the first time in theaters when it came out. I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity, because there are moments in this movie that are shocking when you see them for the first time and you don't know what's to come. So I highly recommend going into this movie without watching a trailer or without knowing anything about it, if you can help it, because I know at this point the movie has become very well known. If you like dread, there is a lot of dread and a lot of really, really strong and real emotions in this movie. Next, I have The Wicker Man. This is not the Nicolas Cage remake from approximately 2007. This is the original movie straight out of the 70s. The Wicker Man is about a British police officer who visits a remote island to investigate the disappearance of a young missing girl. When he gets to the island, everyone is super weird and everyone is messed up. And although at first you may think he is a bigoted jerk, turns out by the end some of his beliefs were kind of right. The Wicker Man is just a very strange movie. It kind of reminds me of Suspiria in the way that it is kind of abstract and absurd at times. One of my favorite things about The Wicker Man, though, is the amazing soundtrack. A lot of the songs are very strange and culty, but they have been at the top of my Spotify for about 2 years. I can't help but sing them. They're so catchy and mystical and whimsical. So also, if you're whimsical, you should watch The Wicker Man. So that actually wraps up our first category. Next, I'm gonna talk about movies you should watch if you like action. A lot of these movies I'm gonna talk about are more horror. I just put them into this category because a lot of things are going on, and I think that they're very entertaining and they are pretty engaging to follow. First, I recommend that you watch Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This is a movie about a group of young adults who are spending some time together in a giant empty mansion. People start to die, people start to get picked off of the group, and it is a mystery, but it is very fast-paced, it is very energetic, and I typically don't like movies with this kind of premise, you know, teen scream sort of thing. Oh, everyone's stuck in the house, someone's killing everyone off, like Clue. But this one actually really impressed me. And again, I don't want to say too much more because that really is the main plot of the movie, but I do recommend checking this one out, especially if you are too more specifically into those teen scream, kind of sleepover, kind of summer horror movies. Next is Seven. Now, Seven is super famous. It is one of the most famous like crime, investigation, killer movies. But again, I put it into this category because there is always something interesting happening. Now, I do think this movie is genuinely unsettling and creepy. It is something that I have rewatched time and time again. But if you really like movies that are going to capture your attention and keep you thinking until the very end, then this movie is definitely for you. Seven is about two detectives who are investigating a killer who kills people, kind of themed off of the seven deadly sins. Next, in a similar vein, I actually put Saw in this category. Now, I need to give like a disclaimer and prelude about Saw. This is a movie with such a strong reputation. A lot of people say that it's just straight torture porn. I don't think I can say the other word on YouTube. Is it bloody and is it meant to gross you out and cause you to cover your eyes in the movie theater? 100%. However, the first Saw movie truly is different. If you are interested in psychological and if you are interested in twists and turns and just something new and fresh, you really should watch Saw. It is true that the other 9 movies that follow the initial Saw film are a lot bloodier, are a lot more intentional with the traps and trying to elicit certain feelings from the audience. But the first Saw film truly is action-oriented, it truly is psychological and mentally stimulating, and it is a super entertaining horror film. So if you haven't seen it, please don't write it off. It truly is a good movie. Now, I am extremely biased because Saw is my favorite horror franchise of all time, and I have seen every one of the 10 movies multiple times, and I'm about to rewatch them because it is October after all. Kind of switching gears, the next movie I want to talk about, if you like action, is the movie Us by Jordan Peele. It is about a family who one day outside of their house appears a group of doppelgangers of that family, and they are murderous. That's the premise. If you have seen any of Jordan Peele's movies, I think there always is like a level of social commentary that underlies them. Now, Jordan Peele's movies, including Us, have been categorized with a couple other films such as Hereditary, such as Midsommar, all of those. They have been kind of considered like more upscale horror. And I think that that is because of the intellectual bases behind them, like the social commentary that is being made. He approaches the themes very tactfully, and that's what makes him interesting, and that's what makes me want to return to his films again and again. I think Us is a great modern horror. It's not super scary, but again, it is incredibly engaging. There are like fight scenes. Us, to me, almost reads like a zombie film. So take that as you will, and after you see the movie, you will probably know what I mean. And next I have 2 like spooky movies in this category to close it out. The first is Poltergeist. Oh my god, I grew up watching this movie. To be honest, I think it is categorized a lot more as suspense because it is not like horrifying or disturbing, but it is so creepy. Poltergeist is a haunted house movie. To me, it is the blueprint. It is absolutely one of the best and one of the most successful. I don't think any modern horror movies have come even close to emulating the creep factor of a haunted house like Poltergeist does. It does have a lot of horror cliches in it that have not necessarily aged the best. However, this was the first movie to do a lot of these things. So you have to take that with a grain of salt and appreciate it for what it is. I love this movie. It is not bad by any means. It is super exciting. And last in this category is a ghost hunting themed film called The Haunting of Gonjiam Asylum. So this is a movie about a group of like social media influencers. They actually might be like YouTubers or live streamers or something, but they're like, okay, we're gonna go into the haunted asylum and film it. Which I do feel like we see that kind of premise a lot in more recent films. You know, found footage, in my opinion, has been very much overdone. But with that being said, this again is a movie that is the blueprint. Like, it does it the best. It does it in the most fresh way. It is actually so creepy. And I just really can't speak highly enough about this movie. It would be a great teen scream to watch with your friends. It is good, you know, and although I am a Gen Z Zoomer kid, these like influencer themed, like found footage, like live streaming type of movies don't usually sit well with me. But this one, oh my gosh, it is so fun. And it really does get you. Like, yes, it has jump scares, but like they're actually good. And that's what's so exciting about this film. We're actually onto the third and final category already, which is if you like mysteries. Now, of course, I could have said this at the top of this video, but a lot of these movies kind of fall in between these categories. Some of them bend genres themselves. However, I picked this category because these are films where you truly don't know where it's going. I'm not necessarily saying that there's plot twists, but things are unraveling. If you like mystery, these movies are for you. First is the film Sinister. It is so creepy. It doesn't have the same name recognition that like a Saw would, or a Seven, or Silence of the Lambs, which I'm about to talk about. But Sinister is great. It is a demon-focused movie, but I don't want to explain it anymore. What to me makes this movie so good is the uniqueness of its kills and also its creep factor, because what happens in the film genuinely is scary. And I know, like, okay, I'm filming a video about horror movies right now, like hopefully everything is scary, but as someone who is such a lifelong horror fan, a lot of movies don't necessarily make me feel scared anymore. But when I first watched Sinister, which was only a few years ago already, this movie scared me. There are certain clips from this movie that I think are more brutal than Saw and those torture porn movies, because it is surprising, it is shocking, and it's not necessarily extreme, but boy, it does blur the line, especially for a more like typical horror viewer. So if you are ready for something a little bit more intense, but still with a plot and with an interesting story that's making you think, definitely watch Sinister. Okay, I promised I was going to talk about The Silence of the Lambs. I think this film is one of the most significant psychological horror films ever made, but it is about a young FBI agent who is investigating a killer and ends up consulting with another killer himself to basically try to understand the psyche and catch the current killer who's on the loose. Everything about this movie, honestly, the atmosphere, the mystery, the unsafeness that you start to feel, it's all great. It does follow that kind of investigation story arc, and so that is why I put it in this category. Another super, super famous movie, The Thing. This is another movie that I constantly reference at the top of my favorite horror movies, again, if not maybe my favorite. So The Thing is a sci-fi film about a group of scientists isolated in Antarctica. They dig up a thing from the ice, and it turns out that this being, this organism, was not dead. It gets loose and it causes problems. This film is amazing for its sense of paranoia. Even if you watch the movie once or twice, some things in the movie are not even clear in the best way, such as like, who is the antagonist? Who is telling the truth? Who is not? It is very mystery in that way. And for what it's worth, I am discussing the original, most famous one with John Carpenter. There was a remake, which I also do enjoy, but the original truly is the best. So please check it out, especially if you like sci-fi, because this is like ABC for sci-fi horror thriller movies. Next, I'm going to talk about a movie that's a little different. It is The Taking of Deborah Logan. I have seen this movie a couple times. I actually just rewatched it and I just love the premise. I think it is so unique, is about a woman who has Alzheimer's. And so the woman studying it goes to interview her daughter who she lives with, and basically learn more, kind of document the woman, Deborah Logan, her experience. Well, unfortunately, we start to see Deborah succumb to some of the issues and symptoms of Alzheimer's that she's been dealing with. But then it becomes clear something else is very wrong with her. I just think it works really well and couldn't be done any other way with a movie like this, because unfortunately, as we know, Alzheimer's is a disease that impacts older people, and it is scary on its own. So I just think it is a very fresh way to frame horror. I mean, at the end, the lady is basically haunted, okay? Like, I don't think that's a huge spoiler, but I think the juxtaposition of Alzheimer's, you know, something we can't control that is natural, with being haunted, I guess, in a sense, is also something humans can't control. I just think that it's a really great parallel and just something really cool that is explored in this film. Last, I am going to cap it off with another famous movie, which is The Others. It is about a family who is living alone without the father because he is off at work or war or something. I don't know. He's doing something. And they live in this big, beautiful home. But the mom makes them keep all the windows closed because she's like, the kids are like allergic to sunlight, whatever. But then they're kind of finding out that the house is haunted, so it's kind of like, oh crap, and it's isolating. And by the way, this is a period piece, so it's also extra freaky and weird. Well, there's a huge twist in this movie, and things were not what they seemed. And it is just a very smart misdirection on the part of the director and the writing of this movie. It's the kind of movie where something's revealed, and then you're gonna immediately want to go back, rewatch the whole movie, and look for signs of the twist of what is revealed and Easter eggs. And I just love those kind of moments, to be honest. This is my first video I've ever done talking about film and movies. Again, I am by no means like a film scholar or film critic. It is just a huge hobby of mine. And so I'm not used to talking about stuff like this. So hopefully my descriptions were like okay-ish enough to kind of give you an idea of what's going on without spoiling any main ideas or themes or plot points. If you guys are interested in horror and movies, please let me know down in the comments, because I would love to talk about this stuff more with you guys. Do like ranking videos, do reviews. And by the way, I also want to hear your thoughts on all of my recommendations. Duh. I want to hear also what your recommendations are for me or for any horror fan, because I'm always looking for new movies. That is all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being here. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. More spooky content is to come for October, by the way. Bye.